Hi, I hope you're doing great today. Owning real estate is just like life. Things rarely go smoothly from beginning to end, right? If it's not this, then it's that. There's always seems to be something that's going on. And so one of the things that you need to be able to focus on is that when you have certain problems or issues or just things that you need to get resolved, that you do it in a most effective, most efficient way that won't cost you money or won't cost you a lot of money, right? And sometimes it might be something that just when you're in a transaction, you just might be trying to save your deal. Because sometimes you're dealing with certain things and issues that always coming up, and your deal might just fall through, and you end up losing a deal that could have been salvaged, only if you had the right people involved and maybe perhaps even a know-how. Such is the case on a piece of property I was dealing with in Bellflower, California. This particular property that I bought to a client, and he wanted to develop this property to more apartment buildings, I should say. And it was a 100-foot wide lot, and if I recall, I think it was about 250 feet deep. And what's unique about the property was the fact that the property had a 40-foot wide easement that ran straight down the middle of the property. The problem that had developed here was the fact that you can't really build on top of an easement. And so both the buyer and the seller thought the deal was just dead. And the buyer was really ready to cancel the deal. And I just said, wait, hold on for a second. Let me just think about this for a day. What I ended up doing was I ended up pulling the title report and looking at the easement and going through some of the documents. And as I read closely, I realized that there was a reserve easement. That easement was a reserve easement for a road, because way back in the 1950s, this property was all raw land, and they had proposed a road to go directly through this property, and that's why they reserved a street easement of 40 feet wide. Just so happened, as they developed the area, the city actually ran the road in a different direction. So I realized that the easement was all but abandoned, because in order for that easement to make it, let's say, effective, you had to build a bridge, because there was a drain canal right behind the property. And on the other side of that drainage canal was other properties that's already developed. So I knew that wasn't going to happen, and I knew that it was that the easement was not going to be effective. So when I brought this news to the developer, he was happy, but you would think that the fact that here's a developer, a buyer, my client, who had developed at this point maybe a couple of hundred units of apartment buildings, and yet he was ready to cancel the deal. The seller was kind of distressed over it, and yet I came in and basically saved it, because I looked at what was really happening behind the scenes, and I was able to solve that issue just by getting the city to release that easement, even though it was abandoned altogether. That is just one of the things that when you are dealing with something complex and things that's not going smoothly, you need someone who really understands issues that'll keep a deal or transaction on track and moving forward. I have a lot of different transactions that run into a lot of different situations and problems that I'm able to solve, but I can't get into them right now. But I would love to hear any type of challenges and stories that you might have. If you don't mind, I would like for you to click on the button in the email and just kind of share some of the things that you have come across and some of the challenges that you may have come across. Either you resolved or maybe you didn't resolve. And maybe you lost a deal because perhaps it was a deal that you couldn't save, or perhaps maybe the right people weren't involved to kind of like give you the advice to help you save that deal. I hope this helped in some kind of way, and some small measure that gives you some insight that just about every deal can be saved. Just about. I ain't saying every deal, but just about every deal can be saved in some form or fashion. It just depends on the parties that's involved. Do you have a particular issue or problem that you need someone else to take a look at? If you do, I'll be more than willing to help. I bet you I could solve it. I bet you I can handle it. And if you would like some help, just to speak to me to see what the situation might be, just hit the reply button and send me an email, and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. I appreciate you. I thank you for listening to me, and I will talk to you again sometime soon.